Today's video is going to focus on introducing you to multiplying polynomials. With that being said, we're not going to get through this entire page of notes today. We are actually going to cover these two problems here, where we multiply what we call a monomial by any type of polynomial. Now, a monomial is nothing more than a polynomial that has a single term. There's no additional term being added or subtracted, or no additional terms being added or subtracted. So this negative 5a to the third on the outside of this parentheses is a polynomial of one term, so it's called a monomial. It's going to be multiplied by this polynomial, 4a to the fourth minus 3a plus 1. Likewise, going back to the first example, this polynomial on the outside is a monomial because it's a single term of 2x squared. It's being multiplied by this polynomial made up of 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. And that polynomial is x to the third plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 5. So we'll go over those. And then we're going to do, actually, I think we'll leave it at that. And what we'll do is we'll come back to class and we'll talk more about foiling. I don't want to be too ambitious with this video, but let's just get you introduced to the basics of multiplying. So multiplying should be pretty straightforward to us. It makes use of two things that we are very familiar with at this point. Most definitely the distributive property we've been using for almost the entire year. And then from chapter 8, our product of powers rules. Now, don't forget that is nothing more than the rule that says when we're multiplying terms that have the same variable, and notice this monomial on the outside is a variable of x, and we multiply with another term that also has that variable of x, we keep the variable, we add the exponents. Now, if there's any big numbers on the outside, what we call those coefficients, we'll multiply those. So, for example, when I'm ready to multiply 2x squared times 3x squared, I'll multiply the 2 times the 3, since those are coefficients, but I will add the exponents of the 2 and the 2. Okay, so there's just two basic rules. The distributive property is the thing that's that's essentially second nature to us right now, but there's that product of powers rule that we want to make sure that we apply appropriately. So we're simply going to take this term on the outside and bounce it in, distribute it in one by one. Whoops, let's try that again. We're going to distribute it in one by one. So we're going to take this 2x squared, and we're going to distribute it times x to the third. So 2x, and don't forget, we're going to add 2 plus 3, that's 2x to the fifth. We're going to take this 2x squared because it's being multiplied by all of these terms, and we're going to distribute it to the 3x squared. So here's where we want to make note of the coefficients, the big numbers, the 2 and the 3, getting a different treatment than the exponents, the 2 and the 2. So 2 times 3, that's positive 6. We know it's going to be x, and we're going to add the exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4. Once again, we're going to take this 2x squared on the outside, we're going to distribute it and multiply it by negative 2x. So 2 times negative 2 is going to give me negative 4. We know it's going to be x, and let's see, it's 2 plus, don't forget there's an invisible 1 here. 2 plus 1 is therefore going to give me minus 4x to the third. And then we're going to distribute that outside monomial, that outside term, one last time. 2x squared times 5, again, multiply the coefficients. 2 times 5 is positive 10, so we'll say plus 10. X squared. That's it. We're done. So again, make sure that we apply the rules we know from multiplying numbers to the coefficients. So 2 times the equivalent of 1 is 2. 2 times 3, that's my coefficient of 6. 2 times negative 2, that's my coefficient of negative 4. 2 times 5, that's my coefficient of 10. And likewise, when we deal with the exponents, we're adding the exponents. We're using our exponent rules. So 2 plus 3, that's my 5. 2 plus 2 is my exponent of 4. 2 plus my invisible 1 is my exponent of 3. And 2 plus there's no exponent here, that's my exponent that just stays as 2, okay? So just to make sure we understand where we're connecting all these parts from, I went back through and I color-coded for you. All right, so let's do this one more time. I have this monomial, single-term polynomial of negative 5a to the third, and I'm going to multiply it by each of the terms of this polynomial. So let's see, negative 5a to the third times 4a to the fourth. So negative 5 times 4 is my negative 20a, and then I'm going to add the 3 plus the 4. 3 plus 4, that's going to give me 7. Now I got a negative times a positive, that's why I have negative 20 here, okay? Negative 5, think of this term as negative, so a negative times a negative is going to give me positive, right? Plus, and now I can just do 5 times 3, that's 15. So negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. We know it's going to be a, and we're going to add the 3. And don't forget there's an invisible 1 here, so 3 plus 1, that's 4. So plus 15a to the fourth. And then we're going to take that negative 5a to the third, and we're going to distribute it one more time. We're just multiplying it by 1, and that's just going to simply give me, so we know a negative times a positive is going to give me a negative, so in this case negative 5a, and there's nothing to add that exponent of 3 to, so a to the third. That's it. So your practice tonight is the handout that I provided in class today, which will just have you multiplying monomials with polynomials. Simply apply the distributive property and your product of powers property. So this here, don't forget this here is, what I guess we really want to make sure we do two things. We want to multiply the coefficients. Multiply the coefficients and add the exponents, right? Multiply the coefficients. Multiply the coefficients. Those are our numbers in red that we did. And add the exponents. Those are the numbers that we went over and did in green, okay? So apply those rules and the multiplying should be fairly straightforward. And we'll come back tomorrow and we will talk more about the remainder of these notes. We'll see you then.